Sorry for the wind noise. It's a little windy out today, but I knew I had to get started on this video. This is my 1961 Chevy Apache C30, which means it's a 1-ton rear-wheel drive pickup. 1961. That's a pretty good year. Don't know what was going on besides my mother was born in 61, and yeah, it was the year after 1960 and the year right before 1962. So I picked this up off Craigslist for $750, which at the time you wouldn't even want to pay that because it just looked absolutely hideous. Not that it really looks a lot better now. So it's got, for engine and transmission, it's got a 235 inline 6 stove bolt Chevy matched up with a Synchro Mesh Muncie 420 4-speed transmission, which is really just a 3-speed with granny low. So I've done a little work to this engine already. I've owned this truck about 2 months at this point. I bought it sometime in late January or early February, maybe. So maybe not even 2 months. But you can tell it needs a little work. That's not mint. It's not. Yeah, that's bad. Anyway, so basically what I bought it for was just to have a daily driver that I could drive around town. I'm in college right now. I don't do a ton of driving, but I figured something neat to drive me to and from my part-time job and maybe just go get groceries on the weekend. And this was the obvious choice, a 1-ton. So originally when I bought it, it came with these 17-inch 3-piece split rims. Single rear wheel, not duals. That was another Craigslist score. And yeah, classic farmer setup. It had the highway tires in the front, and it had these stupid aggressive mud tires in the back, which, to be fair, is what I do on the rest of my pickups that are two-wheel drive, because yeah, you gotta make up for traction where you can. When I bought it, it came with a livestock bed, which basically was just this flatbed with sides that folded down and folded up. They were probably about twice the height when fully extended. Wrapped around the whole bed. You'd load up your sheep through a ramp or back it up to your barn if it was tall enough, and you'd take them to market that way. And it was pretty solid in 1961. You know, this was pretty awesome. But it's been some time, and the bed floor is getting a little rotten, especially up towards the corner where water would pool after it would melt from the winter. So each corner, the wood in the corners is just gone. Stepped on one of the corners, and my leg just busted right through it. It was amazing, hilarious, but it also hurt. One of the somewhat odd things that I found about this truck was that it originally came with a radio. AM, which for the time, still pretty alright. But it came with this automatic extending antenna, which I disconnected when I removed the radio. But when I first got it, things still worked. Not great, but it worked. The interior, as you can see, yeah, it's a little dated. Not everything works anymore. That window there doesn't really like to go up or down. You gotta pull it, otherwise the gears get bound up, so I've got to work on that. The glove box here, it's got a neat sticker telling me not to dig without calling first, which, fair warning, not gonna lie. But at some point, mice have taken over the glove box, and ultimately they just ruined it. They're like basically the worst tenants you could ever hope for, and they don't even pay rent. So there's that. Got a bunch of tools in here, under the seat, just scattered everywhere. Naturally, the most important of all of them, got my BFH, and that is, I've needed that more often than I care to admit. This door, oddly enough, is perfect, aside from the rust, which for the age is not actually that bad. The rockers aren't that bad either. Like, for a Chevy truck in Iowa, that's kind of amazing that they're still in. Well, there's more than 50% of them there. But these fenders, oh man, everyone I've seen so far that hasn't been restored, just eaten from the bottom up. They are rough, but for what it is, that's fine by me. The mirrors, at first I looked at them and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, factory, I think it's West Coast style mirror. But upon not even very much closer inspection, you can see this was a homemade job. Somebody just came along and ground off some spots that they could just tack these on. Not sure what they came off of or if they just got them from the auto parts store, but there you have it. So, got rust in the fenders, rust in the wheels, rust in the back of the hood where the support member can trap dirt and maybe mice. Not sure if you can see down there, but got most of the thing cleared out. I haven't opened the heater box yet because I really don't want to know what's in there, because this was all this was wrapped around when I bought it, so probably catastrophic things have happened in there. Had to put in a new battery, just the cheapo battery from the local hardware store. Went through the ignition system, all except for the coil, so I got new wires to the coil, new spark plug wires, new spark plugs, new cap, rotor, condenser, points, all adjusted. If you want points on how to do that, check out Thunderhead 289. I'm sure he's got a video. He's got a video for just about everything you could want. I've still got a list of things to do on this engine because it is just hammered. If anything, carburetor needs a rebuild, at least needs re-ringed, because these rings are either stuck or the bores are just trashed. I'm telling you, the blow-by on this thing is spectacular, but it runs. Master cylinder seems to be alright. The brakes work and the clutch works most of the time. It's got a single reservoir for both. Like, they run off of the same fluid. So eventually, when I fail to replace a brake line and it blows open, I'll lose all my brakes and I'll lose the clutch. So, like, this might be my last video. I don't know. I drive this thing every day. This might be the last you hear from me. But yeah, it's a pretty solid setup beyond that. Now, a lot of you out there may be asking, you know, why'd you pick the inline six? What, you know, why wouldn't you go for something with a V8? And I have a simple answer to that. Name the last time you saw one of these just driving around. Yeah, I'll wait. Yeah, they're just cool. Like, you never see them. They make plenty of torque. They get you around just fine. It's no speed demon, don't get me wrong. This thing came with 115 horsepower, allegedly, from the factory. And with all the blow-by, we're probably closer to 80 or 70. So we'll just close the lid on that gem there. But the hood shuts and it opens, which is kind of amazing to me. Grew up around Chevys all my life. It's really hit or miss. It's got some damage in the front end, you know. It's a classic farm truck. Dude used it on his farm for years. His dad used it on the farm. It was a good truck for them, but eventually he just decided, you know, we don't need this anymore. I'm not going to get around to working on it. So that's where I come in. My intention is basically ignore all this, just pretend this isn't here, and just drive it. Because the frame is solid. Like, it is this solid all the way along. Sure, it's got some surface rust, it's got some grease on it, the bushings are gone, the supports are going, but the rest of it is real solid. Like, there's nothing on the frame that's rusted through in any spots, cracked, nothing. But something I did find interesting is the suspension. You think about 60s truck and you think, man, coilovers in the front. But if I can get under here, there's no coil. It's a torsion bar. It's just like a 90s GM. Torsion bar front suspension with leaf sprung rear, which is fairly standard, but a lot of Chevys of this era came with the trailing armor end, which would have been preferable, but you get what you get. So I've done a little rewiring so far. This is for the taillights. It didn't come with any rear lights when I bought it. So I ran a set of trailer wiring from O'Reilly's back there, put some flex loom around it, called it good enough. And to be fair, good enough for the girls I date. Climbing back up, you can see I put duals on the rear because these are definitely not what came on it in 1961. I believe these would be off of a 70s or 80s GM 1-ton. But, you know, could be wrong. Craigslist, you never know. But it came with single rear wheel, 17-inch by, I think, 5.5-inch wide, 3-piece split rims. And if you don't know what split rims are, they're exactly what they sound like. Their rims is split into multiple pieces. These are the 3-piece kind where there's a retaining ring, the external ring to hold the bead, and then the center where everything mounts, and that goes back to the other bead. And if you really haven't heard of them, I don't recommend touching them. Like, don't even stand in front of them. Every time I'm near this thing, I stand off to one side. I leave that area of explosion clear, because these are scary. The tires, they're scary. Tube type, so they're probably all right, but yeah, they're going away. I'm getting rid of these, or at least, you know, taking them off, pulling the valve cores out for the time being till I can get them cleaned up and actually see what shape they're in. But yeah, I got some more tires in the back. That's on the way. Lots of projects, and like I was saying with the mirror, just took off the original mirror, welded and bolted on these new ones, which I gotta say aren't great. I can't see dick out of this thing, but it is what it is. I can't see behind me anyway with a cloud of smoke, so I really don't know what I'm complaining about. Still got the gas tank in the cab. It's in really good shape, so I'm not too worried about that. It's just I gotta leave the windows down after I fill up. So this will be my future project. If this is uploaded to my channel, I suppose I've decided to continue on with it, like Kevin keeps peer pressuring me to do, because he just thinks this thing's a cat's meow. It's like, this is so fun to ride in, and it is. It's a blast. It rides great right up until you hit a bump, and then, you know, that whole 1-ton thing really hits you upside the head. But yeah, she's a project. Got a lot of things on the list. Possibly parking lot engine swap. Got to do the clutch, and I'm living here at this apartment complex, so probably not going to be any garage time. It's about 2 hours home, and also, to be fair, I never told my father that I purchased this truck. This is a surprise for him. Once I graduate, I'm gonna give it to him as a reverse graduation present. Yeah. Sometimes words get away from me, but I suppose you'll have that in some of your smaller farming communities. But yeah, that should about do it for this episode. Stay tuned. Look into further episodes where we start working on this, taking it for cruises, and just generally diagnosing what the hell sort of gremlins are in this thing, because it's got its days, but don't we all? So, for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.